Hello and welcome to the Infinity Saga and Beyond, an MCU fan podcast. My name is Jordan, and with me, as always, is not as always. I guess this show rotates so much more, but we have Chris and we have Ron as with us always talking about Ultimate Spider-Man on our monthly book club here. How are you today, Chris?
I'm doing really good. It's a little past my bedtime. I'm not gonna lie, but I've kind of turned into an old man with a schedule the way it is. But you know, it is ultimately a good decision.
And how are you today, Ron?
I'm good, man. I thought we were, going to get started hot and heavy there with that great intro, and then you were muted, messed us all up. Got to get
Yeah,
better. Got to get better, man. That's all.
Yeah, I
What
know.
else can I say?
I didn't even mute myself. I think it mutes me for the countdown, but it didn't unmute after the countdown for whatever reason. But
Yeah.
whatever.
Anyway,
We're talking Ultimate Spider-Man 2, issue 2 of the Jonathan Hickman and Chichetto run here as we talked last month already. It's already been a month since the first issue dropped.
longer. It's been like what, 5 weeks?
It
That was
feels
it
like
was a month
forever.
and some change. Yeah.
It feels like forever.
Yeah, because it was actually January 10th, right? It was like
Yeah.
right around that time.
It's like a month and a half. Like,
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I thought this would take forever, but it actually came up pretty quick.
Mhm.
um, but yeah, so I guess where do we wanna start with this issue? Just like general thoughts, or do we want to dive into? Look, let's just say there's not as much here as the first one, right? The first one was
Hmm.
longer, I believe, and also had a lot of setup to do. Um, this one has more setup to do, I think, in a different way. The first one had the setup of like finding out what this universe is, right, and seeing people like Ben Parker alive, and seeing J. Jonah Jameson being like the polar opposite, right? Stuff like that we were not used to. This issue didn't have to do all that, but I feel like it still sets up what I think is issue 3 really going to dive into Spider-Man proper, I guess I would say.
Yeah. It was like the first issue was sort of putting all the chess pieces on the board, and this was the first issue where we really kind of finally start to, or not finally, because it's only the second issue, but where the pieces kind of started to move a little bit. We got a little more information about Harry in terms of like the vigilante stuff he's been doing, which, by the way, it does seem now. I know we talked last month about who is the Green Goblin, but the variant cover that they put out for this issue, right there, you see it's got Harry's reflection in the sort of window pane there. Very Raimi-esque kind of callback, feels like, to that old poster. But yeah, so there was a little bit of that, a little bit more into the sort of MJ and Peter, like, does she know? Does she not know? Because there's been a little bit of kind of misdirection with that. We got a little more with Fisk. We got this black suit. So even though it wasn't the most, sort of action filled event, kind of crazy comic as you would expect after, as big as they went for the first one, it was still a lot of fun.
Yeah,
This could be anybody. This could be anybody in a suit.
It could be, but it just when you're really you meant
Yeah.
okay. You're being sorry.
yeah,
I thought you meant it could still be anybody in the goblin suit. I was gonna say I
yeah.
don't
He's
know if
making a
they would
joke.
Oh, it
go.
could be any guy dressed in a suit in the reflection here.
That's kind of looks like you a little bit on the side profile there, Jordan.
Yeah, it's me. I am the
Do
Green
you have something to
Goblin.
tell us? I was gonna say, what
Yes.
the
Yeah.
hell, dude?
Um, yeah, Chris, I guess your thoughts on the first bit of this on this issue, because you said you had them after you read this. You said you had thoughts. Tell me your
Yeah,
thoughts.
I thought this was the Peter Parker getting into Peter Parker. He's stopping the bad guy, and he's like, "I'm the guy who's supposed to stop you." And the guy's like, "I've never heard of that before. That sounds like a really good idea." And then, he tricks him. It's like, "Shock you, boom!" Like it was
Just dupes
hilarious.
them in two
It was just like,
seconds. Yeah.
and then he comes back, and it was so Peter Parker, like the whippy like attitude, like when he's trying to land and he hasn't quite figured it out yet. That like to me, I was like, okay, cool. This is Spider-Man. This is Spider-Man, especially when his daughter draws the little blue and red like for the suit, and you're like, we're getting, yeah, exactly. That's like we're getting it all. We're getting it all back. So with the pieces in place, it's a different world, and now we're just getting into the Spider-Man of it all, and it's really fun.
Yeah. Just kind of piggyback off the thing you said to the start. And again, not to throw the Raimi reference in there, but it felt kind of Raimi-esque in the sense of like it's an older Peter, even though the Peter in those movies isn't as old as this one. I still think that the Toby, movie one Peter was still a little older than, your stereotypical high school kind of Peter that's normally the one that's figuring this stuff
Though
out.
he is supposed to be high school.
Really? Oh, it was just one
I
of
mean,
those 2000s things where it's like everybody can kind of like what we
yeah,
just saw
because
with Madam Web, where
he's
they
in
have
school.
30-year-olds playing
You know,
17-year-olds.
he's in school when he fights Flash.
Right, right,
Um,
right, right.
and then he has his graduation
Mhm.
so he's a senior. He's supposed to
In
be
in
18,
my head,
but
I always just compartmentalize that as college. I don't know why, but
yeah.
so then I guess not so much as the Raimi point, but it was kind of cool to see him dealing with all the stuff we're used to, teenage Peter dealing with, but basically our age. It was
Hmm.
almost like a little more relatable in that way. It was I like that a lot, and it was funny to your point. The sort of I'm here to stop you. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, and Shocker just instantly, just yeah, as you see on the screen there, just totally like walks him up and down and has him wrapped around his finger the whole time. It was really good.
I love how he's
Yeah, so
calling
what
himself the Shocker. It's like that's such a bold move for a villain. It's like, yeah, I'm Shocker.
Well, yeah, he's the Shocker. That's
I
that's who
love
he
it.
is.
I enjoy that with comic books. It's always cool when the villains are just like, yeah, this is my name.
so what do we make of the suit? How does this suit work? It doesn't seem like it is a mask per se, right? Like look at it like going almost like backwards into
Hmm.
his head here. And the first part of this panel, I don't have it, is like it's cut off at his nose while he's eating. And you
Hmm.
see all these like black flakes around it. Like, is it kind of like a like nanotech or a symbiote type thing? Or that's what I'm getting, I guess.
Yeah, that's my call too. It's something where like maybe Tony Stark kind of modeled sort of a nanotech thing around the concept of the symbiote without it actually being a symbiote because so far this suit hasn't been talking to him in his head or anything like that, and I highly doubt that Tony would just throw an alien on him that was going to eventually make him turn bad and just take over all of New York and do all that. So it was cool though, and it does seem like they're going to be changing it up pretty quick, at least in terms of the color. We had that scene that you guys just referenced
Yeah.
in terms of his daughter and being a little afraid of the sort of black suit and referencing making a change to it. And every cover we've seen so far has the more traditional look. So I'd imagine in 3 we'll probably ditch the black and go back to the more traditional.
I agree. I think this is probably the highlight of the issue for me is that this is the origin of how he gets red and blue
Hmm.
is from his daughter's drawing of a blue spider with red legs. Because if you think of a spider, you do think of it as being black, so you can see why the suit is black. Um, in this, right? And it's either probably given to him from Tony, right? Because Tony is the one that came to him and said, "Here's the spider that was supposed to bite you," and probably gave him a suit, and this is what he's been using, right? With no emblem or anything on there like that. And now it's like, okay, his daughter is scared of this guy just dressed in black. Like this is the picture on like the Daily Bugle right now, right? And
So sick.
she's scared of it. Her brother tries to tell her it's like CGI, not real. Though we do learn it is taken from Peter Parker. Peter Parker did get this photo. Kingpin is only running it as a distraction to get people off of Green Goblin attacking him and trying to, get I guess like scare him or other vigilante stuff. But the best part is that this is how he's going to get the red and blue, and I wouldn't be shocked if the third one opens up with him already in it or making it,
Mm.
or something along that line, because I do think look, in other movies and I guess some comics, he's gotten the red and blue just from like that was the color of the spider
Mhm.
Mhm.
that bit him. But when you think of Spider-Man, we think red and blue because of 1962 when they made him. But if you had just never printed this Spider-Man and then tried to have me come up with a Spider-Man, I probably wouldn't come up with red and blue.
No,
It's
Like
true.
probably
so
black.
it
I would say black and red, probably.
right, right. Yeah, like a Black Widow or something, right?
Mhm.
Um so I do think it is funny that I always thought it was funny if Spider-Man was red and blue. It works, it looks great. But I like that they gave it a reason this time. Like this is probably just two of the crayons she had, right?
Mhm.
She makes
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Hmm.
And they're just the most, like, when you think of the color palette, the first, it's red and blue, and then you kind of get into the others. That was probably the reasoning for a lot of character designs back in the day. You think Spider-Man, Superman, Captain America, go down the list, red and blue. It pops off the screen, and
Yeah.
it sort of, I don't want to say like invokes a bigger response out of people than a more sort of dull, or not duller, because I love the black suit, but just a less kind of poppy design.
Well, is there a more recognizable superhero than Spider-Man? Because I don't think there is. You can't mess with it too much. You kind of have to get him back in the blue and red for it to work, like for the series. Like, I feel like you can play around with a black suit, but I don't think you can keep him in the black suit.
Also interesting to note from this comic, in the first page, there's a big bar of text that just says February. So I'm wondering, is this going to be like each issue is like the next month sort of thing? Because that could be a
Mm.
good way to sort of do those things off panel. Like, maybe the next issue is March, and he's had the new suit for a few weeks, and maybe like he ended up putting away the shock or something like that. I hope they don't do too much of that, because ultimately we do want to see this stuff on the panel, not told to us in exposition text. But it'll be interesting to see if that's kind of how they do things, because it seems like things in this sort of new Ultimates universe that they're setting up. We just saw the other day, we got another announcement for another comic coming out just called The Ultimates. It seems like things are moving really freaking fast. So if that's kind of how they're planning on doing things, like each issue is just 1 month of time to sort of like pick things up and keep up with what the rest of this universe is doing. That'll be pretty cool.
I think you're onto something because I had to go back to the first issue and check. And yes, the first issue has January. So I do think, and those were the actual release months too, which is great. So I do think when it comes March, it's going to say March. And
Mhm.
it's going to be, we won't even have to see him make red and blue suit. It's going to open with him with the red and blue suit or something. And that is how, like, the front cover, this is something I should have had, and I apologize. I'm going to try to pull it up. But um, the front cover of the third one is him, like, facing off against Kingpin.
Fisk, yeah, yeah, really cool cover. I'm interested though to see like how they're going to get into that so quickly. Like, we've seen a little bit of Fisk and stuff, and obviously we saw that Harry is kind of targeting him as the vigilante going around. But it'll be interesting to see, like, because Fisk is very much right now in that sort of like political, everybody loves him like sort of thing. It feels like, at least. So for things to go from that to he's already throwing down physically with Spider-Man, that I'm interested to see how quickly or how they get there so quickly, I should say.
Well, Peter works at the paper and has kind of the inside track. He sees what, he did with Ben and Jay Jonah. So I feel like that'll be like his motivation. He's going to be a little suspicious of him. I think that kind of he doesn't have the public gaze with him. He has the inside
Mhm.
track. I think that's how he gets that so quickly.
Yeah,
Here it is.
there we go. Perfect. Yeah,
They're
and it
on, like,
looks
the
like
roof of the
that.
Daily Bugle.
Yeah, that looks like a very sort of public brouhaha that they got going there. So like that's not going to be something that's just kept quiet. You know what I mean? It seems like that's going to be something that there's a whole lot of fallout from in like future issues.
Yeah, I'm curious if maybe. Look, so the covers don't always have something to do with it, right? I mean, look at issue 2. We got
Mhm.
Goblin flying around. We have Peter in a red and blue, and then Peter just standing there.
Mhm.
But I do think so. They might not have a physical but what I would think is confrontation. What I would think is this looks like a down helicopter. I'm wondering if Goblin accidentally or purposely tries to take this helicopter down,
Mm.
and
Okay,
Spider-Man
yeah, I see there.
tries to
Yeah, yeah,
save him.
yeah.
You see the webs on the wings, like the propeller.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that maybe he is trying to stop the the issue, and then Kingpin comes out wanting a fight, thinking it's him or something, and yeah, I mean, let me see if we have a description. I know last time we read the description for issue 3 as well. But have you read any of the other Ultimate stuff yet? Did they have months in it too, like Black Panther or anything? Because that's the only other one,
Um,
right?
so there's as of now only Panthers out. I haven't read it yet because I'm picking up the second printing of the first one and
Hmm.
issue 2 when I go to my comic shop when 2 comes out in a few weeks. Haven't yet, but they've got the X-Men one coming out too that looks crazy. Like, have you seen the art on that?
No, I haven't. I
Oh,
haven't.
dude, it's so like it's manga style. It's a really, really, really weird take on the X-Men, but I'm super interested to see where they go with it. We won't go too far down that rabbit hole because we're talking Spider-Man here. But yeah, so we got those two, and we've got the Ultimates coming in June.
Well, so here's a weird thing.
Hmm.
I went to I went to my comic app and looked
Mhm.
at Ultimate Spider-Man 3, and it has a different cover.
Hmm.
So
Interesting. Can
I'm
you pull
going
it
to
up?
set yeah, I'm
I'm
going to
pulling
send
it
this
up on
over
my
to
phone too.
myself.
Huh.
Well, I'm going to send it over to myself, and I'm going to put it up on the screen here because it is very interesting, and the description kind of matches this more. So really curious to see how this is going to play out. I'm wondering if they were trying to keep this a secret for a bit, so they had a different cover.
Hmm.
But I'm pulling it up now. Here we go.
Oh shit!
Holy crap.
So
Bullseye.
the description says uh Peter Parker's new life gets even more complicated. Spider-Man sizes up the new hero Green Goblin as they team up to fight a new supervillain. Secrets about the corporations running North America are revealed, and you'll never guess who discovers Spider-Man's secret identity.
Mm. Yeah, that was another thing we haven't talked about yet. Fisk meeting with those people and kind of talking about sort of the ones that has his balls in a vice. Like Fisk is kind of the the rule. What did they? How did they refer to it? He's kind of like the king of his own little kingdom there. But
Yes.
compared to these powers that be that they're talking about, he seems to be very small fish. So that's I'm guessing that's the first major arc of what we're leading up towards. Whoever the hell these are, which I mean, it sounds like we're gonna find out pretty quick here. Seeing Bullseye in the cover there and all that. That was really interesting.
Small Fisk or small fish?
Both.
There Jordan goes with his puns again.
Yep.
um so another thing that we didn't really talk about last time, I almost said last week, but last month was the at the beginning of the book, it kind of had a map, right? Didn't it have a map or like some sort of how the world is. Do you have issue 1 there?
Oh, issue 1. Yeah, give me 1 sec.
Because I'm looking at my digital copy of it, but it doesn't seem to have it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I thought I saw it on the physical edition.
You're talking about it's way up there in a stack, so I'm not going to go grab it. But you're talking about the one that shows like everything that's going on in the current Ultimates like world, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's not
We,
actually
we
like
call that the Hickman special.
yes, yeah.
The
Because
Hickman special.
apparently this is not actually America. The makers reshaped this whole thing into his own little sections that they're calling.
It's like Battle World kind of esque sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. And I'm trying to find if I have the actual script, or maybe it was in the Ultimate. The other thing, Ultimate.
You're talking about the
Ultimate
prequel comic?
Universe, the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
thing
yeah, yeah.
that kicked all this off here. Okay, here it is. The world is the North American Union. It's crossed out and says redistributed. Regional subsidiaries redistributed. And then you have the Society of South America, the European Coalition, the city, Latvian territories, Upper and Lower Kingdoms, the Eurasian Republic, the Children of the Eternal Light, Shadows of the Immortal Hand, and stuff like that.
Holy moly. That's a lot.
Yeah, and we are currently in. That's what I'm trying to figure out. North America is like this salmon color, which would be probably regional governors.
Yeah, and that would make
Regional
sense too.
clubs.
Like with
Yeah.
Fisk, kind of what they referenced about him. Yeah, just being sort of the smaller, the big fish in a small pond. I don't know why I keep
Yes.
going to fish references with Fisk tonight. I don't know.
So that's
Nothing
what it
fishy
is.
about that.
Yeah.
So what I would assume is whoever is above him. So it's the maker remade this whole thing, right? And has probably instilled governors and just how he wanted the world to be without these heroes. And he has probably ultimate control. So the people that are probably talking to Fisk are probably people that are below the maker and kind of like his goons, I guess you would say.
Somewhere down that like mafia food chain that you see on all the boards in like mafia movies. You know what I mean? It's like the head dom,
Yes.
and then they got the little offshoots and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking, but I guess we'll see. I don't know. The back of the book still has has this cover, and I'm just wondering if maybe the comic app or something put the wrong one out here, and this is issue 4.
That could. Yeah, I was gonna say, could that be 4? Here, let me. Here we go again. I'm just gonna look up, see if the 4 covers out yet. Yeah, it is. It's just Peter, like, here I'll
Probably another.
I don't know if you could really see it all that well.
I think I have it on the website here. So it's like the desk. Is it the desk?
Yeah, with like a coffee cup and
Yes.
Jonah's calling him. Yeah. So yeah, no, that looks like it's. I'm not, because that's weird. It doesn't look like a variant cover either, because it's the exact same art style as that one. Yeah.
Okay, so let me see if I had any other screen caps I wanted to share. No, I think that was pretty much it. Anything else about this issue before we wrap it up? We actually went longer than I thought we would, 25 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, no, nothing really that I can think of. We pretty much covered everything.
Give us more MJ, give us more JJ with Ben.
Agreed.
That's what I'll say.
Big time. But yeah, that's pretty much it until next month.
All right, cool. Well, we'll keep doing this every month here for Ultimate Spider-Man, so make sure you're following along with us and reading it, because we've been really enjoying it. I would probably give this one like 4.5 stars, just because there wasn't as much to dive into at this, but I think it's setting up for something really cool. So still really dug this issue.
Yeah. Everything so far indicates that we've got a lot of really interesting and deep storytelling going forward. It seems like it's very much one, like Hickman comics tend to be, skewed more towards adults. If the fact that Peter's like 30 or well north of 30 didn't give you that indication, It seems like the story is really going in a more adult, kind of layered approach.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
It says rated T for teen on the thing here.
Ooh.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you all for watching or listening along with us. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the YouTube. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I almost said Apple Spotify. And have a great rest of your week. We'll catch you next time where we will have maybe a Madam Web review, and we also have the an MCU draft coming up, and we also have comic book couples draft coming up. So we got a lot of stuff coming up for you very, very soon.
Be cooking.